I'm doing great, Paradise. Thank you for the introduction. I'm ready after you just set a nice delay to cast some Han. We are finally live, and I will be joined by Fa. How you
Was
doing,
good.
Fa?
I'm
All
good.
right.
I'm just ready to cast some hopefully some good hunt games, and hopefully it'll.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got a best of three series. We're in game number 1 now, just starting, and excited for some competitive Han. So let's get to it and talk about the bands. I will mention them, and I want you to give me some analysis to follow. So Engineer, Rally, and Lodestone are banned from the Legion team. Adrenaline, Fade, and Parallax banned from the
Alright.
Hellborn side.
I mean, the engineer and the adrenaline, they look like pretty normal, like first phase bands, since they're really like strong heroes. The same goes for Fade. The Parallax ban is probably related to the fact that Recent Gaming just won with that hero. And I'd say Lodestone and Rally are also pretty common heroes to pick. So yeah, the bans are just I guess some general bans and maybe a few targeted bans for Reason.
Okay.
All
All right. Yeah, nothing really standing out too much there. So we have a first pick of the Chipper coming out from Legion. I'm anticipating that to be a support
Yeah.
Chipper.
I do think they ran that hero support in the past 2 games they played, so that seems to be very likely.
Okay, and then we have Monkey King and Tundra, the 2 response picks coming out from the Hellborn side to follow the Chipper. So they don't go for a support. They pick up a Monkey King and a Tundra. You like those 2 picks?
I mean, it's pretty bold to open with 2 core heroes because then it's relatively easy to counter the core picks. But those heroes are relatively flexible in terms of what lane they can go to, so maybe they don't really give away too much. So I think I'm okay with it, but it's definitely not too conventional to open with those 2 picks. But yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how they finish up that lineup. Like you mentioned, they'll need some supports, most likely. And maybe they might run the Monkey King as the carry. We don't know just yet. But Nymphora and Benzington, Sir Benzington, are picked up as the final 2 picks here in the first picking phase. So typically when we see the Benzington, that screams tri-lane, but maybe not necessarily. They do have the Nymph and the Chipper, which are pretty strong supports.
Mm-hmm. Well, we might be looking at. We might be looking at a potential trial in here with these 3 heroes. I mean, I guess they can open with the Benzington, and then there's really good follow up. And it's like, since Benzington is a relatively squishy hero, it's actually nice to have 2 supports that have some kind of way to save him from like being ganked with the Chipper focus buffer, as well as the volatile pod from the Nymphora. So definitely some decent synergy and picks here.
Yeah, so pretty strong, I would say, tri-lane if that's what they do go for.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if it does end up being that makeup or not. But the banning phase almost complete here. It looks like we have Kraken, Keeper of the Forest, and Gladiator gonna be banned out by Hellborn. So those look like to me to be strong solo lane heroes to maybe pair up with the Benzington that they've picked up so far, and then Pestilence and more, one more ban to follow here from the Legion side. But anything sticking out to you there? And then there's the Calamity.
I'm slightly surprised by the bans from the Legion side with the Pestilence and the Calamity, because I don't really feel like anything specifically gives away that Hellborn has any like ideas of picking up those heroes. So it might just be like maybe they're just throwing away bans, or maybe those are some heroes that have bad experiences with it. But I don't really see the reason why they would ban those particular heroes. When it comes to Hellborn bans, Kraken makes like perfect sense, because they do have a lot of like team fight synergy, and I know that at least in the side they like to pick up Flux as well, so they could be running a Flux and a Kraken for like some combo there. And the Keeper, I guess, is just some decent team fight, which might be annoying to face. And I think people generally don't really enjoy playing as Keeper, because he can like heal towers, and he's really good in team fights, and he has the root hit into double root, so it makes pretty decent sense that he'd get the ban there.
Yeah, and also a good setup for the Nightfall too, so makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I agree with you about the Pestilence and the Calamity bans. Those seem a little bit different, but maybe perhaps there's something they want to run on the
I,
last two picks.
I suppose they're pretty covered from the magical side on the Legion side with the focus buffer, and maybe they're just afraid that the Monkey King in conjunction with the Pestilence are going to have too much physical nuke.
Yeah, for sure. So they open the second picking phase, sorry, with Demented Shaman and Parasite. Okay, so I was not expecting to see a jungle hero picked up, but what I will say is they do have the combination of Tundra and Parasite, which he can still hop in the bird and fly around, and if he gets that early codex or something like that, if he goes for that route, that is pretty annoying, I think, to face. But what do you think about them deciding to run a jungler?
I would say this is a classic dude draft. But
Okay.
Whatever that means, it's definitely very unconventional to run a draft with Demented Shaman and Parasite. I personally definitely favor Legion's draft currently, but I also know that sometimes the surprise factor can definitely have some value. So,
do you think we'll see like a Balfagor on the last pick to pair with the Demented, or like, is there anything that kind of glues that Hellborn team together with that Parasite pick? I'm trying to foresee.
well, the thing is, they have a lot of
gonna be.
they have a lot of melee heroes currently, and they're looking to fight against the Flux shipper.
Okay.
So, it's definitely very interesting. They could be running a Belvagor, but I feel like to some extent that they might have some scaling issues. But I'm also not entirely sure who's playing what heroes, so it's hard to say exactly like how exactly their heroes are gonna which player is gonna play which hero. Okay, they run a
Midas. So Monkey King carry, and then maybe Midas and Tundra solo lanes with Demented supporting the Monkey King. I would have to guess has got to be something on their mind.
Yeah. So, Beans, if you had to give your take on which draft is favorite here, who would you give the advantage?
I mean, on paper, I really like Legion's draft because they have really strong laning phase, not running the jungler, and then they have Flux ulti into Nightfall with once Moraxis gets a blink, and not only that, but they have really tanky heroes with the supports having defensive capabilities going up against the Parasite. So I feel like if Parasite doesn't have a snowbally early game, I feel like it's going to be tough for Hellborn to
for sure
come out of the laning phase. Like, they're supposed to fall behind in the laning phase, so they might have to come out of a hole.
Yeah. I'd say that the Legion definitely has a more conventional draft, which on average probably will guarantee you a decent chance of some kind of success. Whereas Hellborn, well, I don't really know exactly what to expect. Maybe they'll just run over the Legion side, or they're just gonna flop completely. So it's gonna be interesting for sure how the game's gonna pan out.
Yeah, so the way they're deciding to lane on Legion is interesting because I was expecting them to run the Bensington long lane, and if they send the Flux top, this could be very risky because this is not a hero that I think that you want to have a bad start on because he doesn't really come back into the game very well. And then they're running the Moraxis mid lane, which I think it's almost better to run Moraxis in a side lane because he doesn't really need priority mid.
I think if I were to choose the lanes for Legion side here, I'd definitely run the Flux mid, probably with the Chipper, because and then I'd run the Bensington with the Nymphora bot lane. And just have the Chipper help out mid stack jungle and let the Nymphora help Bensington farm really fast. And Flux, as you said, needs to have a decent start. So putting him on a suicide lane seems maybe they're expecting him to go up against a solo lane, but even then, I would rather have a Moraxis in the 1v1 lane and have Flux in a dual lane because he needs farm more than he needs levels. Of course, he needs levels as well, but he's not really useful without any sort of farm, I feel.
So now, how do you feel about Hellborn running the Monkey King mid and the Tundra in the dual lane top? That to me is throwing me off a little bit.
Well, I mean, that kind of in some way suggests that they're running almost a carry Tundra. Hopefully they're not gonna go for like a super right-click heavy build, and maybe they're just gonna go for some like tempo early, maybe mana boots into stuff, and like get some sort of map control from the early stuff, and then maybe have the Monkey King transition into a carry. But knowing that it's Dude and Leo and Nete, it might be something interesting coming up. So we'll see.
Okay, fair enough. I'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting like this to be top lane. We might have. I don't know if this is enough damage for a kill. Doesn't look like it will be. Lux will use the health potion and be fine. But I think the lane setup suggests we're gonna see a pretty passive early game, and we might have a later bloodlust than usual if we were to see like a tri-lane battle.
The current lane setup, who do you think it like benefits as it stands right now?
Okay, so top lane, Tundra is gonna get free farm, so that's one lane won by Hellborn, and then right now as it is, Monkey King is pretty even with the Meraxes. Nymphora looks like she's been stacking a lot in Camping Ruins, so Bloodlust, I missed it. They did actually bring down.
No, I didn't check, but it seems like. I mean, Flux doesn't really have a lot to do up there. He has no mobility, no escapes, no stuns or anything, so it's really hard for him to. I would almost say that it would be better for them just to send the Flux mid and then have the Meraxes run up top, but.
Yeah, I think they could have probably done that and it would have been a little bit better for them. But the Monkey King is getting pretty good farm mid, considering it's supposed to be a 2v1 lane. And then Midas is stuck at level 1 with 0-0 creep score, so Bensington having free farm in bottom. So right now, the Hellborn is getting a pretty decent amount out of their early game with the Parasite jungling.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that it would have been better to run the Chip on the mid lane and then Nymphora bottom, because Chipper can just stack with his rockets.
I agree, and I think you want the levels on the Nymphora with the pulse
exactly
more than you do on the Chipper.
And the Nymphora kind of has to follow the Bensington to help Bensington clear the stacks with the volatile pots. So you need the levels.
I agree. We could see top lane Flux gonna take some more pressure. There's the Toxin Claw. There's just so many slows between the Demented and the Curial. Is this gonna be enough? No boots on the Flux. He's getting tower dove. He does go down. So they take him down for a second time here. Caught that one in full effect.
So currently the Hellborn side is up to a 1k gold lead and a 1400 experience lead. So the early game is going in their way, but it might also be related to the fact that Hellborn is running a jungler. So on average, you're going to get like maybe slightly more out of the lanes if the lanes are stagnating. But you're going to have maybe the farm less kind of focus on one hero. So in the mid game, they might even out the disparity.
It looks like he's gonna go the Codex route. He picks up the major totem on Parasite, and he's currently going the farm build with Infest and Draining Venom. So won't have the leech early on at least, but usually when you do this, I think you get around a 7-minute Codex. So we'll keep an eye on when he gets that, because I think that's like his time to start setting up pressure.
So 300 GPM at the 4 almost 5-minute mark. That's
pretty normal, I would say. He's level 6 under 5 minutes.
Okay, so that's like to be expected, sort of.
Yep, pretty good farming so far.
Good.
So Bensington's level 6 now. Definitely could see a Nightfall come out, maybe in response to like a dive top lane, or if Parasite tries to rotate one of the lanes. But for now, pretty low level on the supports. And good news for Midas, he got level 2. He's been struggling down bottom.
Fairly slow game going currently.
Yeah. So, what time do you think we'll see the Meraxes get the portal key this game? Because he's been given this priority mid lane, dual lane farm.
That's a good question. I don't necessarily think that he needs to get it like super early. I think I would rather see him like, instead of just rush straight PK and they get it like at the 10-minute mark, I'd rather see him maybe by Steam boots and investments, so he doesn't just like get one shot by the Parasite, and he's able to frontline a bit more for his team. Because the issue you run into to some extent, if you have like a heroes that are going maybe for a more, I wouldn't call it greedy, but more less HP route, so to speak, then you run into the issue of having a lot of squishy heroes that just get one shot by a lot of like Parasite and Tundra, especially because you have a Bensington on carry. So I'd like to see
they use the Avalanche, and Flux goes down for the third time this game. There was a port, but it got cancelled immediately. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I'd like to see him buy Steam boots and probably investments too before he tries to go for the PK. So it'll probably be like delayed till maybe the like 15-16 minute mark or something.
Oh, that late? Okay.
I mean, it depends on if the game is just stagnating, then it's gonna be like 15 probably with Steam boost investments. But
Monkey King going in for some pressure here mid lane. Arcane Shield is activated, and the Matrax pod goes down. Monkey King will dash away. A lot of pressure with that double damage rune and the tower, and here comes Parasite. This could be a kill on the Meraxes with the shield down. There's the face coming up, but he does not have the leech. Only level 1. Looks like he got fogged there, but Monkey King still has the double damage rune activated, and down goes Meraxes. Here comes the port now from Midas as Monkey King initiates the fight, and they pick up a double tap on the Monkey King. So great team rotation here from the team support. This Monkey King kind of baited that engagement out.
You definitely hate to see it on the Legion side, both dying against Soul Lane. Obviously, they were 3 heroes at the time, but Monkey King after 7 minutes is getting the better end of the deal.
And now he's 350 GPM with the double tap, so all of a sudden he's got higher farm than the Meraxes, who's supposed to have the better time. So that's not good news for the Legion team.
And I feel like Monkey King is one of those heroes where if you have a really, really poor start, it can be really hard to get some kind of impact in the game. So this is definitely what he was looking for in terms of getting some kind of impact in this game.
And Bensington, he's having the best start so far at around 450 GPM, but they're going to be expecting a lot of big things from him to kind of carry over this early game. Because now Parasite's got the Codex picked up, and I think soon he's going to start looking to use that. Maybe pending he gets a Wild Hunter or looks to pick up a Veiled Rod or something like that.
Bensington went for Chalice, which is a little bit unusual, I'd say. What do you think about that?
I would say Bottle is more common for like a regen purpose, and now he picks up the Life Tube, so I guess he'll be going for a Rune Cleaver this game.
Yeah, so I guess he has the Life Tube to sustain his HP pool when he's using the Chalice for to get mana. So I guess it makes some kind of sense. It's not. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just unusual, I suppose. I personally would probably just try to get the Cleaver faster and just go for an early sustainer rather than pick up the Chalice. But
top lane, the Entangle comes out, Thunder jumps in, doesn't have mana for the Avalanche.
Here comes a Nymph TP from the left side.
Nymph TP and a Nightfall coming in. Zhao's still ready to go. This looks like a very dead Tundra. Zhao's gonna miss on the Demented Shaman, but the Toxin Claw is slowing him up. This is the Entangle on the Meraxes. Rockets are being thrown. Bensington should get this kill. He does, and he picks up a double tap. Meanwhile, in the background, Monkey King takes out the Chipper. He's got a haste rune activated, so he's toying with them in the back as the Nympod will heal up Flux. Is there going to be any team support? Parasite's moving over with the Minotaur. But it looks like Monkey King says, we're done here. Ports out to the middle lane, and the fight has concluded.
So this is definitely the strength of the Legion draft, that they can just like show up with 4 heroes and like out of nowhere. So definitely a good team fight or gank coming out from the Hellborn side, Legion side. Sorry.
So this was the first Nightfall we saw, around 9 minutes or so. Prior to this, I was gonna ask. You are a pretty prominent Bensington player. Do you prefer like playing this hero more passively for farm, or do you think it's a hero that you want to be more active on? As we have fights in both the middle and top lane while I'm saying this. Nymphora, I believe, died in the middle lane to Monkey King solo, and then top lane, the Meraxes hung around too long, died to quite a few heroes up there, and Demented picked up that kill.
Yep. So to answer your question, well, I mean, you're always going to look to try to see if you get some free kills with your ultimate. That being said, you are still the main carry in the team. So if you go for a more like I'd say forced ultimate, where you maybe you feel like potentially you have a fight, but you're not really sure if it's going to end well. A lot of the time, it's not necessarily bad just to like sit back and get your cleaver earlier on, because Bensington is the type of hero where if you kind of throw away your early game lead, you quickly find yourself in a position where it's hard to become the position one carry that you want to be. So I definitely don't mind not like taking a super aggressive approach early on, and it's nice that he obviously shows up for a team fight with the other heroes. So I think it's completely all right to chill a little bit, get your early cleaver, get the farm, because Bennington becomes a really good hero once he has a few items. I mean, he's good without it as well, but now he has the early
cleaver delivered, and look what he's got at his disposal. He's got some triple stacks to work on. So now I think you want the Nymphora to be the one to start following him, right? Hopefully they.
Probably. Well, given that he has a cleaver, he could clear it without the Nymphora. I still don't think that Chalice does that much here, because he doesn't really use it a whole lot. But since you have the 11-minute cleaver anyway, I guess it's like negligible the difference it would have had whether he skipped it or not.
Yeah,
but
so
now
his GPM's going to skyrocket now as he's working on all these stacks. He's already almost up to 600 gold per minute. Once he clears this one, I think he'll be on like 580 or so. Monkey King has a double damager in mid lane. Arcane Shield is activated. There's the Nymph pod coming out in response. And I believe he did block the face hug from the Parasite. So a good job there from Legion to avoid that. Monkey King still has the double damage, so he did not activate it.
So here it's actually kind of interesting what Bensington should be going for. Because he definitely needs to tank up a little bit so he doesn't get one shot by the Parasite. You can't go for like a full greed build with like a Nullifier 3. I mean, you could potentially, but there's a good chance you're just gonna get one shot by either Tundra or Parasite. So maybe some kind of Firebrand into a Shrunken or something like this.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an option for him. Maybe an eventual Geometer's Bane later on.
You could go for investments into Geometer's Bane or something. He's gonna go for the Hungry Spirit here, which is not something I expected.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to have the lifesteal, because the Nymph can just keep healing him up.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think he's going to go for Elder Parasite here or Whispering? Probably Whispering seems more logical, but...
Probably the Whispering Helm, just to give him some armor too. I think with the Elder, he'll just be way too much Glass Cannon, but the mid lane... Axis gets Codex there. He hits the Quake onto Parasite. The Monkey King with all the spells down. He did proc the Arcane Shield, so he is running in hasted. Bensington hits the Joust there on the Monkey King. Here comes the Flux Pull. And is there going to be any follow-up? It doesn't look like it without another Quake Stun to be in range.
I was a bit afraid the DD Monkey King was going to be able to get a combo off on them, because some of the heroes were like not full HP, so with the Monkey King combo into like another hero showing up, maybe a hero 2 could have fallen, but they managed to burst him, so it was good.
Yeah, so they did end up killing Monkey King, and that was the conclusion of the fight.
Yeah, and the Tundra went for Elk Bones into Helm, so he's gonna go for a more tank up carry route rather than the Space Maker, which I guess makes some sense, seeing as the Monkey King is maybe the one who's trying to create some space in the fights. I'm still kind of curious who's gonna go for the more like late game route on the Hellborn side.
So yeah, I agree with you. Now, for maybe people watching, I don't know if everyone knows this, but the Helm of the Black Legion can now be upgraded into a Oblivion Hammer, which is a combination of the Brutalizer and the Helm of the Black Legion. It's a pretty recent new item. But so my point that I'm getting at here is, do you think this is something he's going to be looking to build into right away? Maybe perhaps a little later in the game?
I mean, generally speaking, I don't feel like it's always the first item choice as your first item, because you generally want to have some kind of maybe damage item or farming item, whereas it's more on the lockdown and tank up kind of route. But it definitely allows him to be the frontliner for his team, and maybe get some stun locks in with his cold shoulder attack speed. So
yeah.
And the brutalizer also gives you a lot of damage. So maybe he's just gonna rush for it. We'll see.
I'm waiting to see if they're gonna do Tundra. He has the bird next to him right now, and they haven't done it yet. I'm almost wondering if they don't know that this works, because I've thought that's the whole reason they picked Tundra and Parasite, is to send Parasite around in the bird.
Yeah, I suppose they
And I haven't seen them use it one time yet.
Nope.
But look what Legion team's doing. They are headed to the Kongor here. 16-minute mark. We'll have the first Kongor attempt of the game. Is this a free Kongor?
Looks like it. And that's really good for the Legion team, so they can. I would say almost
actually headed over here.
I think a lot of them could go for the vitality thing here and get the extra HP. So they can.
Yep. It's gonna get completed.
Okay, so let's see here. Ooh.
Parasite, he's gonna run in.
Oh, this is bad.
Here's the bird now, spotting them out, gonna give him some clear vision. Here comes the face like, oh, he goes flying over the cliff. There's the Quake Stun in response. He does bring down the Bensington though, an avalanche in the background on the Nymphora. Midas is here, gonna try to land a combo. There's the defensive Flux push, trying to delay the fight. Matrax is up from Moraxis, trying to get the slows in. And there's a buyback on the Bensington. Quake Stun goes in on the Tundra that gets pulled. Nightfall in the background. Bensington taking some pressure, can't get a joust up. He does on the Demented Shaman, and now Moraxis leading the front lines goes down. Tundra goes down as well. Who is winning this fight? It is not over just yet. Bensington goes down again, so he goes down twice in this team fight. Flux trying to hold his ground against the Monkey King. One more hit, the rocket going to miss. Oh, two more rockets also gonna miss. Flux trying to pick a target. He takes out the Midas. Monkey King, he's thinking about going back in with the sacrificial stone, but decides to go back. And wow, what a fight! Defending that Kongor kill holy cow, that was chaotic. How many people ended up dying on both sides?
Bensington died twice, so that was not the ideal fight for him. But as you can see, like since he skipped the Vestments and he went for the beat from the Kongor, the Parasite just barely had enough damage just to kill him from 100% with his Leech Face Huck Codex combo. It would have been really nice if he had survived with like 300 HP, TV back to base, and then Nightfall back into the fight with full HP. It was a really close fight at the end of the day. So,
so that was a level 4 Codex from the Parasite, I believe.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised to see no one in Legion's side pick up the single Vestments here. Not that the item is, you can definitely play without the item. I just feel like, given the fact that you're facing a Parasite with Codex 4, you might have some benefits to picking up a Vestment or two.
No, I agree, definitely, especially now that he's choosing to level it almost to the max level.
Yeah.
Especially on heroes like the Moraxis and the Flux.
So even Nymphora went for the moon speed. Flux, Nymphora, and Bensington all went for moon speed Kongor Blood. I mean, I guess
surprised by that, actually.
Yeah, me too. They're all relatively
close. The Nymphora should have probably taken stats, maybe going up against the burst.
I agree. So you prefer having really tanky support early on. Well, it's just in general having the extra. Is it 150 HP or so?
100 max HP and 50 max mana. Flux is in a pretty aggressive spot here. He's gonna get found by Parasite. Quakestone comes out in response, but there's the transmute. The TP gonna stop some damage actually, and Flux might live because of that. Monkey King ports in. Now he's forced to retreat as Demented Shaman gonna try to keep him alive. Throws the cape out on the Tundra though. Meanwhile in the background, Flux again still low HP. Demented Shaman is gonna go down, and the Legion team, it is disastrous mode. It looks like, actually not really, because 3 players end up going down, and they do survive on everyone but the Moraxis, so I rescind that statement, actually. Looks like it ended up working out for them in the end.
Yep.
No cake for you.
And the Bensington didn't die, so I think he's pretty happy that they took a good fight without him dying.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me there was that the Flux, who got initiated on, survived with like around 100 life, and very unfortunate that the TP stopped the tower from hitting. I think that could have been the difference maker to Flux living or dying there.
And he bought Vestments now. That's good.
Yeah, he did. That is going to help him quite a lot, I would say. And they were only able to kill the Moraxis there, so good fight from Legion now. And I think Bensington is getting close to his shrunken head. If I had to imagine, he's probably about 800 gold away. Chipper, with the assistance of the creeps, takes out the tier 1 tower.
Yep.
So, what does Hellborn team have item-wise in progression here? I see a pair of Lex Talionuses between the Demented and the Monkey King, and it looks like now Monkey King's choosing to bulk up with the Shamans and the Sacrificial Stone. What kind of item route do you think we'll see Monkey King go for as his next item?
I mean, since he's got 2,400 gold saved up, it might be a muck he's aiming towards, which I actually don't mind too much, since the Thunder just picked up a Brutalizer. So, I mean, they do have a lot of heroes to shove out waves. Monkey King by nature is really good at shoving out waves. They have the Midas, who can also just combo waves. But they do potentially lack...
coming in bottom lane. It looks like they're going to go for pick-off on the Midas here. They bring the Bensington and the Nymphora. Oh, the Nymph shows a little too early. Can Benzing hit the joust? There's the pull, though. And actually, Bensington flies through the tower. And here come the mass TPs. They are going to bring down the Midas, but here comes the Avalanche now on the Tundra. Meanwhile, Flux in the background survives with the Astrolabe, but Bensington is in no man's land. He is dead, and now Flux is all by himself. He will go down, so the gank is a disaster. They do kill the Midas, but at what cost? For 2 players being the Bensington and the Flux to go down in response.
I think they're definitely not happy with that gank in hindsight. It definitely took a bit too long for them to get the jump on the Midas there. I would have liked to see the Bensington just try to go for some kind of joust there when they have the high ground advantage and not seeing them coming. Because they spent way too long, and then they did the Flux ulti, and then Bensington, he jousted the same second that they did the discharge, and it was just a little sloppy, which ended up costing them, as you could see.
Yep, and even if Benzi popped the Shunken there, he was avalanched under tower, so I don't think maybe too much would have changed. It was just a gank gone wrong, I think, simply put.
Yeah, and if Bensington had gone immediately and missed the joust, then they could have just, gotten out of there rather fast. Instead of...
Wild Hunter Parasite, 7 more seconds scouting the way. He's going to find Chipper here. There's a Midas combo to open, and they get the pick off on the Chipper. And with Bensington, I think, just respawn, so they don't like to go for a counter initiate. As the numbers advantage favoring Hellborn here. Do they catch the Nymphora? Oh, very close, actually.
So the Thunder just finished his Oblivion Hammer, and personally, I've had maybe a few issues with the amount of stats that finishing a full Oblivion Hammer gives you. So this is definitely some kind of power spike for the Thunder currently, where he's looking to take fights because he's just really strong with his.
I missed that one. Looks like Midas and Parasite catch out the Bensington. Not able to react with the Shrunken in time.
I guess he got comboed by the Midas with PK and then into quick Codex, perhaps.
Not done yet. They're hunting the Nymphora and the Moraxis. Pops the Arcane Shield. No Entangle coming out yet. Gonna go for it there as it expires. Meanwhile, Nymphora is trying to outrun a Monkey King, but I don't... a little server hiccup there, but not gonna matter. And meanwhile, we have the dive continuing here. As Tundra is sitting on the chainsaws, taking a lot of damage here as he tries to go for the Chipper, but the turn comes out from Legion, and Demented Shaman and Tundra go down. A very greedy dive in response to... looks like the rest of the team was going for the Nymphora, so they end up getting some counter kills there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like things are falling a bit apart for the Legion side with them splitting up a whole lot. So I think if they just regroup a little bit and make sure that no one is getting left behind, Bensington getting ganked by himself, then they're gonna have a better chance taking this game. Speaking about the Monkey King's choice of item, I was predicting the Muck, but going for the Dawnbringer or Searing Light route is relatively similar. So I think I almost prefer that actually, because Muck is just a super greedy item, especially like this late into the game, and them having a decent amount of lane shot regardless. The Dawnbringer adds more teamfight presence, in my opinion.
I like the Dawnbringer on the hero, and I feel like Mach, like you said, they're kind of similar, and this one just kind of gives him a little bit more stats and ability, I guess, to work with.
What they're looking to do, the Kong and the other team definitely knows something is going on. So.
Yeah, they have a ward here down by the bottom cliff. Flux Blow comes in. Here comes the Quake Stun. Parasite getting bursted down. Chipper getting avalanched up. Bensington does have it shrunken up this time. Takes out the Monkey King, but now he's avalanched, and he will go down. Does not have enough gold for a buyback. Tundra is trying to man fight. He is going to take out one, but he is going to go down. It was the Flux. And only Moraxis is alive on the Legion side. Midas and Demented Shaman. Can they bring him down? There's the heal. Healing wave coming out. Moraxis getting entangled up. Demented Shaman manning up at the top. But he does take out the Midas in response. And 9 players go down in this fight. Only Demented Shaman, the last man in the ring, standing.
Oh, here comes the Vagabond leader. Is it going to be
this would actually be pretty crazy if he snipes him out. One more. It's only like 6 seconds more. Go get him.
Get him.
Oh, he's gonna pop the heal.
One hit.
He needs to get one attack off. One attack in one hit. No, he needed that one hit.
So close.
37 life. He survives. Demented Shaman, stronger than Vagabond leader, confirmed.
It would have been beautiful.
I love the chat banter too. It's great because that was a very funny sequence there.
So the Moraxis bought a staff. I'm actually not exactly sure what that item does in that hero. Can you give me some information or some input on that?
So it upgrades to Infinite Bladed Matrax, and while active, shoots axes towards enemies who you damage or are hit by the Matrax detonation, dealing damage equal to your current level of more axes. So anytime he deals damage, he hits them with an axe.
Okay. Would you say it's a good item?
I think it's not too bad, but what I will say is I'm very old school in the sense that I just like Hellflower in this hero.
Yeah, I was about to say, would you prefer
I like the Hellflower as a follow-up to the portal key because it just really allows you to sit on the target you jump. Is staff gonna be like significantly worse or whatnot? I don't know. I don't think it's like inherently bad, but if he wants to staff upgrade somebody, like maybe the Flux or the Bensington, then I could see some pretty good value coming out from it. But we also have Chipper building his own staff, so maybe they just want to get 4 staffs going in the team. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I don't really know the Moraxis staff well enough to know whether it's good or not. But I'd say generally.
Flux, he goes in, pulls 3. Here comes the Benzison, joust onto 2. Rock is doing some good damage on the Tundra. Moraxis gets a Quake Stun. They're gonna burst down the Tundra before he's able to even get his avalanche. Or he did get the avalanche off, but not gonna be able to get some hits in. Chipper goes down as well. Infora fell earlier in the fight. It's a double tap for Parasite. And now Benzington gets another 2-man joust. He turns it around, but he is gonna fall in the end as he did take out the Midas. And now Parasite being slowed by the axis from Moraxis. He needs to land one more axe. One more axe. He needs to land it. Can he land it? Parasite's trying to juke. He's trying to guess where he's gonna go. No, he misses the Quake Stun! Oh, they're gonna trade lives! The Faceless comes out! Final auto attack from Moraxis takes him out. He just needed to land one spell there, Fawn. He would have had him. He ends up trading his life in the end.
It was almost looking to be a repeat of the previous fight. But Moraxis, he was a bit unlucky there.
So, I think it's safe to say Hellborn team won this fight, and that was with Legion team getting the jump. They survive on both the Monkey King and the Demented Shaman.
And you can see that Benzington, he's down to 450 GPM now, which is definitely not the type of farm you want to have at this state of the game as your main core Benzington. Obviously, it's due to some unfortunate fights. Maybe partially also related to the item choices. I'm not entirely sure. But
I don't feel like he outputs a lot of damage with this item build because just having the cleaver alone doesn't really make him very threatening. And I think the Whispering Helm is like kind of like a 2k gold setback in his.
Yeah, it doesn't really make you more
power.
Sorry, it doesn't make you more tanky, and it doesn't really give you a whole lot of damage. It just helps you sustain jungle. Basically. And also helps you stack, but they have Chipper, so they don't really need the extra stacking from the Whispering. And I don't even know if he used that axe on the back of Monday to stack in so close. But
Newport, where is it going? Looks like they have an idea about the Kongor. Are they gonna channel this? It looks like they are gonna commit.
They could under here. Or no?
They're gonna get spotted by the Thunderbird though, so Tundra's actually gonna just back off those ancients in response.
Well, I guess the Bensington is going for Wingbone now. Would that be your guess as well from the quarters? The steam staff, sorry. Or is it a Hellflower or a? Could it also be a Twin Blades? I hope it's not.
I'm not sure actually.
Sorry, Twin Blades other build-up. Sorry.
I mean, Twin Blades works on this hero, right? Because he's still a melee hero.
Yeah, but I don't think the Twin Blade quarters the steam staff is part of the build-up. No, actually, it is part of it.
No, it is. But
yeah,
I don't think Twin Blade would be that good on a Bensington.
Yeah,
I feel like it either has to be Shroud or Hellflower.
Yeah,
and neither of which I think really fit the bill here.
I can see the Shroud having some impact. I definitely hope it's not a Twin Blades. That would maybe irritate me slightly.
By the way, I have not noticed this, and I feel I have to point this out. Demented Shaman has an Alkbones and a Hellflower. Did you notice that?
Classic dude.
That is a really farmed Demented Shaman. He is manning up on this Bensington, forces out the Shrunken. There's the Avalanche though. Now Bensington's stuck here for quite a long time, as that's going to allow him not to move. And just like that, Bensington is dead for 70 seconds.
Yeah. I feel to some extent his teammates, they're just kind of almost leaving him to die. You know, they're all standing really far back, and he's kind of the only person walking forward. You know, maybe he was up too far forward for his own good, but I think if I was in this position with no supports near me as a Bensington, maybe I would be slightly...
We have the Matrax activated here. I think more in response to getting jumped. This is a defensive Matrax. He's going to jump in here on the Parasite, kick him out of the creep, but now he's in some trouble as he's going to get slowed up. Here come the nukes from far away. Chipper pops down the chainsaws. They're going to try to get some return kills. Monkey King flying around the Parasite. Is he going to get nuked down? He will by the volatile pod, but Flux gets held down as well. He is going to use a buyback here to try to prevent this Rax from going down. His only Parasite is dead for the Hellborn team. Bensington still 15 seconds on the respawner. Fortification comes out here. They're doing everything they can to try to prevent this push with the nukes. They take out the Thunderbird as well, but Rax is under fire here.
Things are
on the spread, it looks like. The threat of Bensington has scared them off.
Things are falling a little bit apart for the Legion side right now. They're looking for a gank right now with the Nymph TP, so maybe they're going to look to try to get back in this game with a...
He's spotted by the creep wave there, and it's a bit unfortunate.
I like the idea, definitely.
Flux jumps in a little bit. YOLO here trying to get a catch here. Chipper scouting the way with the rockets. We have a Veiled Rotted Tundra here. Monkey King thinking about maybe turning in. He does have the Shrunken. Tundra goes in, catches the Chipper. Manning up here, but the chainsaws are slowing him with the Staff of the Master. Chipper gets stormed up here. Here comes the Nightfall. Lands onto many.
Is it enough?
No transmitter coming out. Bensington, he's gonna get flipped around. He pops the Shrunken, gets the joust on the Monkey King. We have a man fight in two spots here as Mirax is fighting the Tundra, but Monkey King does take out the Bensington. Cyclone on the before he comes down and does fall as well. And Hellborn team only loses the Demented Shaman here. That'll do it. Game 1 going to the Hellborn side here. I believe KraKenwagen is their name. Hopefully I got that right. They will take game number 1 here with the jungle lineup. Any final thoughts on the match, Fa?
Well, as I said, the rather unconventional team was able to come up with a pretty good win after all. So it was a really great game, actually, I think. And that's about it.
By Oblivion Hammer Tundra in the short lane. Love to see it.
Yep, he was very tanky, so he could do a lot of frontlining with the Monkey King, and towards the end it was hard for the Bensington to keep up in fights with the Monkey King, the Tundra. So yeah, great played by the Hellborn team. All
right, so game number 1 is under wraps. We'll go on a short break here. We'll be back shortly with game number 2. So stay tuned. We will be right back.